Numbers are a little short. I need a little bit more money than I thought I did. I want to start the Jinghai or Jingha. I could start it at 70. Generally, that's not a great idea. Shares over a little bit so I don't. Okay. However, I do have this Jingguan, which is a good railway. No question about that. But it's not necessary to my existence. And I have the Hong Kong, which maybe isn't. Yeah, it's doing a little better. Which means I can sell one of these two shares and be able to get my sale higher. So let's see. I was going to take I said 250. Call that 240 actually because I got 10 more bucks, but I don't need 240. What is it? That's the money I need for these to buy out the rest. The additional 20% of those that nobody has bought. I think that's important to me. But I don't need 30% of the company. 30% is what I was going to buy as a president's certificate. I need 40% of the company. So let's see what I have left after that. I have 250, 260. I was at 270, which was exactly 90 for 3 shares. The Jingguan is not quite 90 bucks. That may mean I have to shoot this one down for 95. I'm willing to do that. So yeah, I'm gonna start this sucker at 90. I'm not going to sell my share because if I don't have to buy one of these, or if I don't have to buy, say, one of the shares for that, if somebody else buys one, it's fine. And I don't have to worry about my prices going down. Valuation doesn't change. Communists are in charge. Awesome. One funny thing about the communists being in charge is for this brief period that we're in right now and that we've been in for a while, the greens are still available during the communist period, which means Taiwan is still reachable. I'm not sure what that's intended to represent. I think that's not so much a historical thing, unless this is like the revolution period, which would seem a little odd, as it is, because the war doesn't seem to have any effect. That all passes very quickly. So that may be what this is representing, the war and the final revolution. But I think it's more just kind of we needed the browns to start at a certain point, and it's not absolutely linked to the communist takeover. And, something that's not clear about companies that start in the new share round, and it might be worth starting them at 70 because it's not handled in the rules. Hey, has this guy gone or not? My belief is you start where you left off because at least one forced situation states that clearly. If you bought let me think what it is. There's something that forces a stock round that allows you to buy a train afterwards. I can't remember for the life of me what it is. Or something that pauses the game in a similar way. Anyway, I have no idea where it's going to end up there. But, starting companies, well, I could actually start a company at 80, and that would work. So that might be an option for this guy who has enough, who has enough cash to buy the remaining share of the Wunan. Of course, if somebody sells a share of the Wunan, they cover it up and they bury it deeper, and it's harder to get to that full capitalization. So that's a danger there too. So I don't know. You can't really predict everything in this game. You can't be certain you're going to be able to float your company without some effort. So I was looking at this and saying, oh, geez, I'm real close. I can't start a company at 100. It might be worth starting it down here at 80 where it'll get a run. sure you get deprived of your run. I'm pushing this guy back out. I'll tell you why. Here it says, turnover within the operating round. First, the private companies, next to the foreign investors, next to the share companies which have floated, operate from top to bottom, beginning therefore with the companies with initial price of 100. There is no statement about what happens if someone floats the company in that share price. I'm going to look online and see if anybody's covered this, because this is a weird little rule. There was a RATA for something. Maybe it's in my question. Well, there's things I screwed up here. I don't know how much effect it had, but the BCR, I may have laid 2 yellow track at some point with them early in the game. They were allowed to do it every turn early on. Most of the track they laid, I think, had a cost, or that they would have wanted to lay. So I don't know if that had much effect. It may have been that I was looking and never really wanted to, or did upgrades a lot, or whatever. But here, in which action does an OR continue after an SR? It's the same company's turn after buying the train when it was triggered. That company can then buy. Doesn't say what happens after that, though. In terms of, do you jump back up and catch people who've already been used? I'm going to go see if anybody's asked this. My feeling is, nah, you just proceed top to bottom, but I keep seeing things that lead me to question that one way or the other. And it's actually an important question, because if this guy was the last guy to go, this is a kind of bonus space. I can't find anything on it. I'm going to bump this because the way the question is answered seems to me to imply that you just keep going after that. That they would have stopped and said something different. But the way the question is answered is, to me, completely not supported in the rules. These are iffy. Let's put it that way. And it's not the only XX that I've seen recently, perhaps by the same designer, that the rules haven't been nailed down as hard as they usually are in them. Which, they're very innovative, but maybe you're not sure what they do. Like that idea that you can buy trains after not buying a train. Wow, that's kind of cool. You can force a stock round and not pay any penalty for it, and actually clear out the train and get the next train. So you're just in this super powerful position whenever you're the last guy who bought a train. That is not how I would interpret the way the rules are written, but okay. I'll try to remember it so the JGG gets to come back. I don't know where I'm going with the Wunan anymore. This required so much. You gotta rethink. Maybe I want to go back on this too, because maybe at 80, he was only okay at 70. That's a big hit of money, but I gotta tell you, losing an operating round is a big hit too. And am I losing an additional one? I mean, so I'm here. If I was down here, I get to go. But then the higher up I am, the more likely I get an operating round towards the end of the game. It's possible that the end game, that some of the lower stock values don't. So I'm going to keep with that 90. But let me think about this guy. Well, the first 3 players in priority have bought the 3 railways that have something to do, sort of. This could someday, it can hook up to here eventually. It could start out hooking here and trying to get in and run some crappy little run. One of these, the JLR here, has a pretty abortive little situation. It might be able to fight its way out, but it's going to take money. That's kind of problematic because it's starting at 80. Why is that a real problem? Because 80 only means $400. This train's 450. This may be a mistake to start. He may not have the cash to do this unless he buys that extra share, which he could, of course, get rid of one of these if need be. But he's in kind of an iffy situation. The same thing with this Ningxi, which also has to lay track. And again, it may be relying on the Queen Sen to try to fund it. Might not be the wisest thing in the world, but who knows? That thing can swallow and sell trains or something. I don't know. But maybe I don't want that at 80 then. Unfortunately, I don't have the money to put it at something else. So that's what we're doing. But other companies, other players are saying, maybe it's better to be an investor. Maybe horrible things are going to happen here. Because I'm beginning to really suspect that. Especially when we're looking at the remaining companies, the JHU, which may or may not ever get out of there. It may be running a 2-train maximum. That would suck. And the LHR, which has to fight its way. Now, it's not necessarily much worse than the NXR. In fact, maybe it's better, except it's got this $50 hit instead of a $30 hit. And this at least doesn't have to fight. I could get some connections without a problem. This could get sealed off. We'll see. This guy's got a lot of money. He probably wants another company. So it's looking like he's getting a pretty piss poor choice, though. No real hurry to get the companies. Xinchang has started to sell. People are like, oh, well, that's great. Look. Well, it's not so good anymore. It's still got 2 decent trains on it. It's not the only company with that. But Taiwan's about to go bust. And the guy who owns it is like, well, I don't know how much I feel about that. But he bought a Chenkang in order to diversify a little bit. That one looks pretty good too. I don't know where I want to spend my money. If I may well want to buy the LHR in order to get another company. I have enough cash to do that on hand, I believe. Not at 90, 425, but there's a lot of money on there. Interesting threats have started opening up here. Over here, a lot of people have decided, let's just get to our 50%. So, for example, the Binzhu, he needs the money for that. Yeah, and I'm making up my pronunciations, right? This guy, he got the Wunan up there. Now he's going for the Jinglan, trying to get that up to the 50%. So he doesn't have to juggle trains around. And this guy's probably going to do the same with his in terms of selling things off at the $5 penalty, just in order not to. And that once it started looking like people might sell stuff, that started panicking people who want to get to their 50%. Hey, I better buy those shares before more shares end up on top of them and I can't afford to do it anymore. I would have to invest more. But what is kind of running neat here is over here. Well, the first was this guy's up to 20% in the Chenkang, but this guy can't sell any more shares. He does have, if he buys another Jingguang, he won't have the money to protect the Chenkang. If he doesn't buy another share of that, this may be too poor to really operate well. We're not sure, but, oh no, he's got his 50% out. What the hell? Oh, people bought that up. Yeah. I don't know why he bought a share of his own crap. Especially since he doesn't have the money to protect this anyway, and he cannot sell any shares of that. That was a mistake. Whatever. I thought I was trying to buy it out. Mistakes like that do happen in games, whatever. But anyway, that's a threat from him. But this guy's made 30% on the Xichang. And at this point, I kind of have to protect the Xichang. I can't possibly take that over and protect this So we're not going to see anything change hands, I don't think, because there's too much possibility I don't manage to take control. Everybody jumps in and tries to stop me or something. I'd rather hold the one company I've got. I'm not really sure which one's better. Neither one's particularly well positioned. At least this is near Hong Kong, you know. Beginning to see sales in order to fill out that 50%. He had to sell his Hukun first because it's $90. He only gets 85 back because there's a penalty for every sale in this game. If he had sold this first, he wouldn't have enough cash because he was completely broke at that point to buy a share. So now this way, I will be able to buy the last share exactly and just hold my own companies. And the final go around. I did not need to sell both shares to get this out. It had 450. It's set up, but I bought that fifth share. Gives me more operating flexibility to have $900 on there, I guess. I don't know. It's not going to make as much as the other company maybe, but if I can push the trains, maybe I can crush some of those others a little bit more. Yeah, including this poor thing, but whatever. It has money, right? I had a $500 that had accidentally drifted over here. It should be over there. Otherwise, a lot of off investment, basically. So like holding a huge chunk of somebody else's company is always dangerous in an XX game, but maybe less so here. First of all, this guy is to his right, essentially, right? Which means in my world, normally you want him to your left, because people go clockwise, but in my world what it means is he's probably got a chance to have priority over him, which means if anything horrible happens he can dump it. But more than that, none of these can be sold, so because we're in the communist era. So at least while the communist era is still going, there's not a big threat, but that can sneak up and surprise you. Right now priority's in the safe place. I don't have to worry about it. The only place where I'd have to worry is if it shows up here or here. And likewise, this guy's holding 2 shares of the Chenkung. That's safe because of that. But otherwise, yeah. The standard rules kind of do apply. And now we get to go back to the JGG and decide whether or not it wants to buy a train again. Well, it doesn't have money, so that's no big deal. So now we start going to these new companies that, hey, they don't fall back because it's communism. Great stuff, huh? All right, I'm taking a bit of a break. New companies start taking their tolls. First, the JLR. Well, they spent $100 on a 2+2 train, knowing it's going to go away, buying it off the Wunan. I really don't particularly want a 4+4 train, and I didn't want to crush the Wunans in case other people had reasons to keep trains running as they were, to buy trains off their companies or whatever. But the Ning's Eye ends up picking up the 4+4, and that's going to crush the 2+2s and open up brown tiles. It also moves us into section C of the game. Everybody's still capable of laying track in this period, so there's no huge effect for it. One exception. These tracks I built couldn't have been built. And that is actually a problem. But I'll reverse those. I wasn't really realizing that I was buying these 30% shares before they were actually triggered, right? Yeah, we hadn't bought the 4+4 yet. Interesting. Oh well. After a couple of companies basically just swallowed while it's opportune, because the 6s are going to come out, aren't they? I mean, they are, but they're going to come out fairly soon. We're running lower on the 4+4s here. We're down to 3 of them. And if nobody wants them, remember, they find their way of disappearing. But guys like the BCR, just padding up their money so they can afford the more expensive trains. Yeah, I got a lot of percentage in them. Maybe I want to take that money, but the decision's been, let's put it in the company for now. Make sure we don't end up heavily in debt. But the business you bought a 4+4. Basically, I'm almost set up. I could have run my Vladivostok run right now. It doesn't make as much money as hitting Beijing, so. But very shortly, I've got it. Actually, I've got it set up now. So at 1, 2, 3, and not quite. Oh no, 1, 2, 3, and I got this stupid thing in there. But I'm upgrading that center line with the hope that that'll be more important at some point as well, because the extra $50 hit should be pretty nice. The only problem is, although I can make no browns, I have to hit doinkers, which means I need a doinker choo-choo. Now, right now I have 2 of them, and that's great, but in the long run, maybe I don't. But that did move the chew, and now we're on the Wunan, which definitely needs a chain. I don't know about this decision. I think I'm going to reverse it. What happened here, I was going to buy this sucker. But then I'm realizing, you know what, I'm just asking to destroy both my railroads if I put the 6 train out there. So far we've been having everybody who's kind of established in good shape. Screw it, let's swallow, let's get enough money for better trainage, whatever that works out as, because these are 250. There's going to be an ability to kind of jigger things around and get, you know, a reasonable permanent train run. But this, except for the people who screwed up, but we'll leave them alone. The BCs, or the CDs from earlier. But this Nanjing, what I'm looking at is a 4-4 route looks really good. And it actually kind of does. I'm set up for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, doink, 2, 3, 4. That's sweet, right? Here's the problem. When I lose this, as soon as the 6s come, I don't know. And the second is the Haikun here, which has enough money. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, because that 4-4 is good. The problem with it is it's not a permanent train, so I'm going to have to swallow. And my thought was, oh, I'll get a swallow in with 2 trains. That'll be good money. And it won't. But it won't happen, because now the 6s are available. Somebody's going to pick up a 6, because it's just too good a thing. But I think I want to do that anyway. The world changes again. JLR hooks up here. I'm not sure why, but really their hope is, the gray tiles are kind of weird in this game. So there's specific ones, so like Beijing and Shanghai. There's one double ooh. There's a couple of ones that have 3 spaces and a couple that have 2 spaces. And if I'm able to hook that one up, I can put a 3-space one in there and blast my way out. That's kind of my hope. It doesn't seem likely. The WNR is not going to be able to help me with that. But it does seem like the best use when I'm running a 6 train, which is what I've got right now. And that's the first 6. So the world changes. We're in step C already. Companies need 60% to open, which means they fully capitalized. The 2 trains come back available. The stock exchange opens up again and starts operating normally. Lucky for me, my failure to run came before the stock exchange reopened. But we gotta kill the 3 trains here, I believe. 6s kill the 3s, yeah. We're always killing a train now. And that's gonna open up problems. There's more companies that have potential to do things, but we don't know. We don't know what they're going to do. The world's kind of screwy right now. As is often the case in an 18xx game, the older companies that are set up reasonably end up buying themselves the first permanent trains. The HKR didn't have to swallow to do it. Quinsand didn't have to swallow. In both cases, although the 6E is a better train, they can't guarantee they're going to get one. There's a lot of companies out here. It's safer just to pick up the one they need and worry about it, trying to make that run as well as it can. There's so much opportunity in both of their cases. It looks like they'll be able to run this without having to hit too many doinkers. That's my hope. They will be losing their bonus extra little runs, little things like this that are happening, that are giving them, hitting Beijing twice, unless their run ends up really ugly. It is possible that they could kind of maybe get through here if the special gray comes out, or do kind of a jerk around and get a kind of nice run there that might be better than anything else that they can manage by setting up these loops around Beijing. And that's one of the reasons this is not necessarily that horrible, although I think it was really a big mistake. But at this point in the game, I really hate trying to rewind things. It's too much of a pain. So I figure I've played enough of it, I should be familiar with it. Well, I'm still capable of making some really boneheaded mistakes. So that puts us at the end, and we're back on the more complicated maintenance tasks, although right now they're not too bad because not too many companies flipped over. Do we have to do this? No, but for some reason I like it. Kind of shows me which things moved, I guess. I don't think it serves much purpose when everything's moving, though. It's kind of cool. I kind of have to dig through the stacks at times anyway, so I really don't know that it does much for me. All right, this is still an interesting location because this is a doinker that's producing like 40 right now. The grays are not out yet. They don't come out until the 8 train comes out, which could be an issue. And the 8 train triggers the end game condition, right? The second 8 train triggers the end game condition, which makes trying to get one of these bigger trains even more scary in terms of can you make good money off of them. All right, I think that's it for tonight. We're at the stage that happens in almost every XX, and it seems to be true of this one too. Some of the smaller ones aren't so painful, but where there's just a lot of calculation going on because the routes are such tangled messes, and there's so many options with the track in a weird sort of way. Like, I don't have the option to break out with the browns the way you do in a lot of the games, but I do have the option to upgrade cities and open up new vistas that way. So it may be a little mellower than it usually is just because of the lack of the brown track pieces. In the train fall period where stuff just keeps getting bought, BCR had to buy a train because they're falling, It took the one that's available, first permanent that I can get. I might end up swallowing to get another train. As it stands, I got enough cash to buy a 2 train if I want, one of those permanent 2s. Actually, I could have bought that in addition, but I'm okay with the 2 trains. Let's see what falls out and whether or not I can get something bigger. And then the Chen Kung here, not swallowing, but paying out, because it's got its trains for now. It's got its money for a train, and it's a bigger one. But also, let's get up to where we're getting plus 10 per run, Let's make more money. It's the trap that you get into. How long do you want the end game? Are you going to take the cash from the middle game and invest it in other things? And there's a lot of shares available to buy. How much space do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can only buy 4 more shares, but I can get high-end stuff that produces well because of the higher stock value and, do better. What's this chart like? The chart's very flat. Just to say we're seeing, I don't know, $5 increase, $5 increase. Now we get to a $10 increase here. And it does get a little bit steeper as you get to the very end of it. You don't want to reach the end. There's nothing special there. That's not going to end the game or anything like that. It just, like in 1830, puts a cap on your growth. Okay, the Binzhou made a quick run. Nice big run with its 2 trains. Got it to 42 plus 5 is 47. That's kind of a bell ringer right now. Dumped it all in a swallow though. Why? Well, and also didn't buy a train. I don't want the 6 train. I need the E train because there's so many doinkers over in Binzhou land that I want to make sure that I can skip some of them. But this is the first time I've been able to hook this sucker up. That was $19 on a 3 plus 3. At some point I'm going to be running a 6E through there, I hope. There are quite a few of them. So I should be able to get one there. And the Jinga has a similar situation. They've got to set themselves up for that. That's a $700 train though. Neither company, this guy does not have that cash. This guy's going to be putting like 200 aside. He's not going to have it either, which means another swallow on each of them, I think. The WNR and the SCR now, and both older lines, both with money. The WNR, enough to buy the 6, not more, but they need to do a swallow and don't want to drop out of the +5 zone to buy something bigger. They don't need much of a swallow, so they can take a hit. And the SCR, tons of money, isn't thrilled with the idea of a 6 train. Too many doinks in the way. Wants one of the E's if they can get it. Probably the 6E. Just because of the cost. Even though the 80, I have enough cash for the 80, but I'm looking at another company. The LHR, assuming nobody else grabs it. That's a real danger. I don't have priority. I may just be stuck with one company. There are additional companies left. The JHU, for example, shut in. Unless it can be bought at a stock price where it can guarantee it gets the next go or something, at least among the people there. Well, the people touching this area, it can't guarantee it can even get out onto the board. So, and you can't run just a 2 train, so it can't be like, that wouldn't be too bad. A 10 run isn't horrible if you're holding it on, 1 certificate. Like, you could get a 40% certificate in this game. Probably nobody else is going to invest in the damn thing because it's only your single certificate that's really going to crank money. But unless that opportunity arises, I don't see that company even starting. It just maybe somebody who controls something else in here could help arrange it, but it's hard. There's too many people who can just upgrade that and throw a dot in, I think. SCR doesn't have dots. NLR does have a dot, doesn't it? They still have a dot. Would they be interested in that? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they'd be more interested getting down here if they can. That's tough to do though, but this dot becomes the important one there if that appears. There may not be that extra dot kicking around. There aren't a lot left. Orange has one. They might well be interested in it. JLR definitely would like it, but are they going to get it? But the BZU could get it. And that's really the question, is who can get in there with a dot? There aren't many dots left, but it's pretty hard to judge that, yeah, I can start that company. Which leaves us, I think, with only one company left, the LHR. LHR down there. Which it doesn't look all that great, but very shortly it's next to a really nice city. And then running out of there, who knows what I can connect to, but still an 80 city is sweet. He's not buying trains are now providing opportunities for like the JHA and the NJR to not buy trains, but swallow and work their way towards a train that they may have had trouble with. This guy's actually got a lot of problems here. The HKR is running a permanent train, great. And he's doing it on very few shares, but I don't know if that's gotten its payout yet. I think it did. Thought it got it early. But then people didn't like where it went. It ran for all its money, and and it's a shame. It's got some nice positioning, but the NJR has I have a better shareholder holding in that, so that's kind of appealing there. Of course, the ferry. Oh well. The series of the next companies we're all swallowing, the JGG, JLR, and XR. I don't remember, did the NJR? Yeah, probably the NJR swallowed too, if I didn't mention it, but I think it did. These were, some of them, very bad choices. They started too low a value for this late in the game, even fully capitalized. Really late in the game, maybe they can get away because, oh yeah, I can buy a train, but that's permanent. But these guys started out and had to buy kind of big trains and didn't have a lot of money left. And so they're kind of running, well, they are running off of, I like saying kind of, right? They are running at fairly low values at this point, although 25 is not bad. They've kind of established themselves kind of, right? Kind of. I'll break myself, I'll try. Now we come, though, to one with a real decision. A 45 run. $50 can go in my treasury. I could buy another train. Not outright, not right now. This is actually a really nice run because of the because of the ferries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunately, I can't, and I would have if I could, I can't upgrade any of these green tiles here to brown. We're out of brown cities. There's a restriction that you can't play these guys with a blank face on them unnecessarily, but if you're out of browns entirely, you can get away with that. And by unnecessarily, I mean in a place where you're not actually physically, well, this one could never upgrade, but this one could. You're not physically limited to using one of those for your brown city. Anyway, those guys, those cities are kind of hosed, so I'm not going to make that much money. But still, 45 is a nice run, plus the bonus there. Now, I can just pay out and take my cash. The 3+3 is probably going to go before I get another run, though. Which means if I want 2 permanent trains, I got to do this swallow. I'm sitting on 30% of this company. I might as well. It has a very similar situation to the HKR. In fact, a lot of the same dots. Almost the same train. The 3+3 is better than the 4 that the QSR is sitting on. I've got a run of 40, which translates into 45. I got more shares. I got less money. But if I put 450 in, I'm still gonna be able to make another 200 on another run. At least 220, 270, say. So 450 and 280 is 730. I'd have a shot at a 6E. That would do me a lot of good. Part of me wants to just run well because there's a time limit. The second one of these comes out and we got only 3 more turns, but I'm going to swallow this 450. I think it works out the best. And with this guy sitting there, I may need a bailout of some sort. That bailout may actually be there. It may be buying the extra train with all that cash, buy, say, the 6th train, get a permanent train over on the Ning side, which really doesn't have too much opportunity for growth. Sweeps this around. Jeez, I don't know why the JGG is not marked here. He swallowed. Did I move him back? Probably not. Probably should be here. Helps me remember. QSR swallowed. See how easy it is to forget. Yeah. And that brings us to the end of the round with the BCR in the magic position of I can let the 6 train die after having, say, swallowed and maybe have enough for the 6E that perhaps I really want. Or, well, no, I can't. Can I? No, until the 6E comes out, we're not down to 2 trains. So the first 6E I can buy. So I have my choice between a 6 and a 6E and the opportunity to be running 2 trains. In addition to that, I have a big chunk of the SCR here, which is a really healthy looking company with all that cash on it. So it's possible that if that share drops for some reason, say he needs some cash for something, the SCR is probably not going to drop, but if he needs some cash for something, this guy could end up with it. On the other hand, if this guy needs cash, he could end up locked in at 50% down there. So, all right, time for some mechanics, and then we'll be entering probable stock round, just because the power of pass, well, no, not if I want the 6 train, right? So I got to make my decision on which train I want with the BCR. So the BCR just swallowed $470. I could have paid out a nice load of money there, but getting 2 permanent trains for 1 additional swallow seems like a great deal. However, now I have the choice. Which one do I want? Because I could have either. Obviously, the 6E is a better train. I have to maybe come up with $50, assuming this starts. Delay track going into there. Do I have the track there? Yeah. I unfortunately have 46 if I buy the $700 train. On the other hand, if I buy the $600 train, I have a lot of extra money that I probably am not going to be able to leverage for my other train. And the 6 actually does what I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because I'm currently running another train. Now, I could run my current 6 there and run my other train 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then skip something to get to someplace like Indochina, which would probably be very easy for me to get to. Hard call. What do we have here? This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we'd have to cut through here with $30, which we have. So I'm going to go for the 6E, which means by that rules question, I can pass at this point. It'll be coming back to me. Now we get a stock round. The disadvantage to that, I didn't score all that much money. I could have taken a hoard of money instead, but I do want the 2 permanent trains on a company I got 50% on. But that 470, I'd get half of that. I'd get $235. So it's a couple shares I'm losing out on by doing it this way. I think that's fine because I have so much of this company. I'm going to make it so attractive that other people are going to want to grab it. And who knows? You know, I'm not sitting on priority here. yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'd be better off not swallowing, but I love to kill trains and stuff like that. Plus, this game's gone on for a while. So, we'll do it that way. And that wipes out the 6 trains. I think I may have screwed up and not given the JLR 100% of its money. It's sitting there. This guy's got 50%. I don't know what the situation was. I'm going to leave it as it is, but it's worrisome when I see this shit, and the same with the JHA. Okay, I'm pretty sure I did not make that mistake with both companies. If I did, that would be horrible. And I think I did. I think they only had $400 each. Because this guy's sitting on this for $450. Well, how could he have bought it? Shit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to get rid of these markers. I think I paid them all out, but I don't know for sure. Pain in the butt now. So the game is under serious cloud now. Not a lot of money here. Nobody's got a whole hell of a lot of money. Just a couple $100 each. This guy's sitting on 300 and something. That he's got to buy 60% though. If we started at 90, we'll have a lot of money. Okay. The choices are between 70 and 90. 70, we might not be able to buy the available train. And that might mean that we have to buy a stupid 6 off the BCR and kind of ruin this if he gets it. So it's kind of, again, yeah, I don't know if I can afford. I don't know if I can afford it anyway. I don't have track clays left. Shit. Uh-oh. Nobody's helping out the Baoshan owner by starting the LHR here. He actually invested in a Haikun. We've Hukun, because there's been sort of this mob mentality, and there quite often is in an XX game, where, hey, this is worthwhile, you know. So the BCR was definitely worthwhile. It looks like it's getting 2 permanent trains. That's gonna rock, right? After that, the question kind of came to how much money do you have in some cases. So the Hukun looks like a pretty good safe investment. I may have to take a swallow to buy its train, to buy a second permanent train. And there's some potential that there's going to be train juggling going on. So I don't know how valuable it is, but it's established over here with the +5. It's probably pretty good. The only thing that this looks pretty good too, but those were all sold out already. Some of these other companies are in similar circumstances. This one here, these 2 companies, they're both close to being able to buy their permanent train, but they're both probably going to take a hit. Some people decide, well, you know, it's the best thing I can invest in. I don't want 2 of a company that somebody has additional shares of, even though there might not be another stock round. And that's kind of an important facet. If, what is it, the 8s or the 80s come out, it just goes to straight. Nope, there will be a stock round immediately at that point. Okay, so there is going to be one more stock round at the very least when the 8s come out, unless the trains don't fall for some reason, which might happen. But there's a lot of money accumulated. I thought there wasn't another stock round. So, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And this poor sucker, he gets no guarantees out of this, and he's gone already. So that's kind of the advantage. By pushing it into another phase, everybody else is going to be cranking their money at some point. A lot of them have something they got to do, so I guess it's not too terrible. Investments went into the Jingling because it's sitting here with a permanent train and most of the money necessary for the Wunans there. It's probably just going to swallow once and buy whatever it can. But this is a piece of shit in terms of track. It's probably going to improve, but there's no guarantees on any of this. At least it has money and dots. It's just really, really a hard situation. And this guy really wanted the LHR to start. I don't know if he wanted it enough to get rid of these 2 shares. And that's what I'm at the point of trying to figure out. Do I need to start that company? And if I do, it's only $700. Well, let's see how many of the trains go. I'm buying one. That probably is buying one. That's 2. BZU. Well, no, yeah, because 3 trains are going to be gone. Probably buying one. We're looking at the 6Es here. That's what we're worried about. The WNR, probably buying one. Okay, there's 1 left. Every company's bought one. SCR might have desires for something heavier, but we really can't count on it. And what that means is my $700 train that I'm thinking of buying, I'm going to get the one for this, but I may not be able to get a $700 train with the other company. And that starts putting me into the price level. So I don't think I want to start the company, even though I need its track lays. And priority fell here. Got a couple of people who filled out their portfolios to 11 certificates. That's the limit here in this number of players, I hope. Yeah. Wow, I hope I gave them only 300 each, not 340 for 6. I tend to play 6-player games so much I could see myself doing that, but I'm pretty sure I only give them 300 to begin with. And we can see a fair amount of investment. We got some stocks sold out here. BCR. HNR and the SCR all go up, which, that's a nice facet. He bought extra HKR because he was trying to drive the price up and didn't think he would be giving this guy priority. Could have given him priority. That would have been dangerous, but he's got 40% of his company. It's a good, healthy company. He'd have had to start another company that would have, because you can't destroy your company unless you can do it yourself. I think this pair of designers has worked that into other games of theirs. Something I saw recently did this, where there's that kind of buffering. Hey, if you can't do it on your own, no, you're not going to do it. You're not going to trash your company just to hurt the leader or something like that. I don't know how I feel about that. It doesn't really make too much difference in either direction. You're probably hurting yourself to try to do it. So it's kind of good on that side. It's the thing that I don't like about it is that there are times, and this is the rule, you can't sell a train between 2 companies unless you own them both. There are times when that is mutually advantageous, and it's not a kingmaker type play like I was talking about. And there, I'm a little more bothered by the restriction. Anyway, that puts us to buying the 6E train, which we still have room for because it hasn't come out yet, and wiping out all of the 3+3s. And throwing us into a new phase where only 2 trains are allowed. Nothing else too exciting there. Companies not being able to lay track is really crimping things down. The end game doesn't feel anything like a normal 18x end game where you're trying to build the optimum route that you've kind of been sketching out all game. So things like this, it can't upgrade, or it isn't upgrading. Chen Keng would have loved to. It was only worth an extra $1, but it gives them, in the long run, a more powerful run. They're not going to have the options that that they expected to have from, experience in other 18xx games. Some big payouts. The Binzu was unable to pay out because it needed to swallow. So now it's got a pile of cash. Can't lay track. It has a dot. Maybe I want to lay the dot. I have plenty of money for that dot. Where might I want it? I'm basically running this 1, 2, 3. I can't lay track. So that's just 5 with that. The 4+4 can run this track, which means if it survives another round, I get something I can do with the 6 train. I also have $250, which might be more valuable to me than that token, because without swallowing, I can buy myself another 2 train when the 4+4 dies. So I think that's what I'm going to do right now. 2 more companies, 2 more trains fell. WNR made a nice little run off its 4+4. It's got a nice, rich little area. Then it bought a 6E, but it had to swallow that nice little run to do that. And you can see it had a fair amount of excess cash. It was actually fairly close. It was over $600, but there's no other way to raise money in this game, which is fine. That's pretty common in XXs. And then the SCR, which had tons of money, was able to pay out, give out 19 a share, 29. Now, I had this sitting like this, and again, that kind of defeats the purpose. I'm pretty sure these two were aligned, so I flipped it back over. I know he got the $10 bonus, but I think I just pushed him forward. And the mechanical aspects are always somewhat challenging to me in any game where I can lose things. Anyway, that was the last 6E. I've got the cash on hand on this one and almost on the other one, but that almost doesn't cut it to buy a 2 train, but I don't have space on either of these corporations. First 8 train is now available. And that looks like that's going to need a swallow to pick that up. Only someone who can build track, the JHA, upgrades to a gray. Not here. Well, lots of people who can build track who have access to that. It's important to grab these grays, I think. But that opens up a brown, which may be cool for someone else. Unfortunately, it's not one of the optimal browns that can be put anywhere. And that's the first 8 train, which increases the cost of station markers. I gotta remember that. But it also is gonna kill all the 4 trains. We're getting there real fast. There's enough companies out that's gonna hit. JHA had to swallow to pick up that train. This may be the last time that they run the Trans-Siberian Railway. Unless I can somehow hook things up to go through more cities or something, which is a pity because that's been really rich for the 4+4. You can see we got, well, WNR has the same kind of payout. How did they get so much? They got these riches down here as opposed to the extra 50 for the Trans-Siberian. And I gotta kill me some trains. And that's probably about it. One of those kind of interesting points. The NJR here, sitting on a 4+4 train. Now, this is the one might remain for the rest of the game, but isn't permanent train. The reason it might remain is the game's not going to end until this goes away, but there's no guarantee that these get bought out. And if you look at what people have, this player has a lot of cash over on the Hong Kong, enough that he can force that, He can buy that extra 4 plus 4 for all this money and force that company to get another train. Or on the other hand, he could buy this 6 train for a lot of money and force the HKR to buy the next train. Which one I want that to happen to is kind of the question. But I don't think anybody else has. I mean, this guy will be forced. So over here, I would have to swallow, and I probably won't have enough cash, even with that, to buy that second train. But this guy is going to have to buy a train. But no one else has hordes of money on them. These two between them have enough money. If the two 4 plus 4 train, the two people reliant on 4 plus 4 trains kind of agreed, they could prevent the game from ever going to the AE. But I don't think that they can trust each other to that extent necessarily. If they were both doing very poorly, that would make sense, but I think this guy's doing pretty well. Well, maybe not. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just 9 certificates. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. And those 30% shares, while they're possibly worth more, in this case, all the 30% shares got dropped so far in stock value that they're probably not terribly exciting. So, I mean, they might do so. The thing is, this guy kind of was counting on buying that train. So he's going to, I think, shift money, which forces the other one to do so too. That means he's going to get the 8 train, which means it's going to be a $900 hit over here, whichever company gets it. The issue is, one of these two companies gets to cash this in for a D permit. So I'll be able to build in this era. And the companies are near each other. I haven't made a decision yet which one I want it on. It would be best for me to put it on the NJR and get it on this run, I think. But I'm trying to see, is there some reason I want to build track, say, up here, where it's going to be hard for anyone except the HKR to reach? Because the NJR doesn't really get anywhere that the HKR can't also reach. Actually a very hard decision, because not where to put that. I think that it does want to go here, but I'm gonna have $880 about on there. Now there's no question with that I don't want to swallow, that I want to take advantage, because I'll have an empty train slot. I want to take advantage of the way the rule allows loans, or of course the president just paying. Because I've got 4 shares, well, 4 or 5 shares of these two companies. I don't want either one swallowing anymore. I want to improve stock value. I want to get the cash that I get on those shares with decent runs. But here's the problem. I also have a dot, and that dot looks like it might be important. Now, it's not that important, except in relation to those 3 companies. Can the JLR interfere with wherever my dot wants to go? Well, I don't know where my dot wants to go. If it wants to go here, yes, maybe, I don't know. But, or maybe here, the answer would be yes. But if it wants to go down here, no. However, the Ning side there, and the BZU is probably not going to be screwing with me again unless it's here. Although they could. There's also the possibility people could get in there. That's not going to get another dot, though, I don't think. It's hard to tell, but there are no brown upgrades for that yet. And I think there's, I don't know if there's a gray upgrade that goes there. I don't think so. This one doesn't upgrade to anything useful to me. So I'm kind of looking at this because that breaks me out this way or down this way. But if I don't put a dot there, this is another option. Which this one, what's kind of nice about it is I could upgrade this immediately. What's not so nice about it is it doesn't really go where I want it to. It doesn't make a likely route down to Hong Kong. Lhasa, I think, is out of my range. This could maybe make it down to Indochina. I could loop down this way. Remember, I'm going to have an 8E, so I don't have to worry about doinkers or anything, really, just closed cities. Indochina is not bad. But, well, now, wait a minute. I can make it to Hong Kong. I come down this way. Yeah, that's appealing. But now we're not talking about a few dollars. We're talking about $100. That would probably cost me 50% more, $150 out of pocket. So now I have to start thinking, because that's probably $5 a share there is $20 plus whatever this run is worth. So I may be swallowing. And now we come to one of the newer companies without a train. More interesting possibilities. I got a fair amount of money on here. However, the train costs $800. That's essentially a $300 hit. I don't have $300 in cash. That means either I have to sell shares, which might be wise, or I have to, and it kind of sucks that I bought some of these shares because I think they've gone down in value, like the BCR I think swallowed. Haikun, probably not. Hukun, I don't know, maybe it did. But not only is it the $300 hit, it's actually more like a $400 hit. Because I'm going to have to pay the interest on it if I don't sell off shares. So, I mean, no matter what, I'm losing some significant money off this. The other side of it, though, is the Chenkung really wanted that 6E. There's a lot of dots over here. That big 8 works really well comparatively for the JGG. It does have to hit a couple of dots, I think. It comes down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, not quite good enough. 5, 6. Oh, ouch. Yeah, maybe not so hot. And we're probably not going to be able to loop back up to Lhasa from here, which would cure a lot of ills. How would the 6E work for us? 1, 2, 3, 4. Not particularly well there either. Maybe down into Indochina. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 6E also works, but then I'm stripping something very good from the Chenkung, swallowing with it, but that's for $250. Of course, the 8 might not be there by that point. If I strip that from the Chenkung, when does it go? It goes fairly early. Who else needs trains? And is likely to be able to get them on that time. The NXR needs a train. It does not have the money. It's going to have to shift, but the QSR goes before it. So that 8 is going to be gone. Does anything become available? Sometimes when you buy one train in the late stages of the game, other trains become available. The only one that's that case for that is this one. And I can't just buy a 2 train that doesn't qualify, and it doesn't. There's no forced purchase on it, and it doesn't qualify as a train, although it does take a slot. Ah, boy. Let's see how that 8 works with this sucker, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 looked like a really good run where I can ignore a bunch of stuff, but does an 8 do me any good? 1, 2, 3, 4. If this is still open, I can get in there. I could hit a couple of doinkers. I think it's worth taking the hit. I think it's worth shifting trains. $900 instead of $800. How does that work for me? I'm 500 and some odd short right now. Or I'm 500 ahead. So I'm going to be like 275. I'll be paying about 125 here. What about for the 900? 700. Say I've got about 800. I'm about 100 short with 2 swallows. Jeez. I think, and this is a 2 train for the Chenkung. I think I'm best taking the hit rather than anything else, which means, hey, I've got track placement. So I can upgrade track for one of the 2 companies. The second 8 train has been purchased. Here. Everything is funky. I was, after selling a share, $8 short, so I have a $12 IOU. Here's the problem. Immediately goes into a stock round, which means I'll owe another $6 if I don't sell another share. It's hard to tell because I lose $5 by selling the share, you know, but I do hurt the stock value and can buy something else, something appealing. I don't know what that would be, which maybe, you know. But now we're in the mess of an immediate stock round, and then we have to count 3 operating rounds with the train here. I believe this company gets to operate 3 more times, which means basically everybody else does too, but he's guaranteed this 3rd time. So that's somewhat of an advantage. These guys end up getting cut off and not getting as many operating rounds as they would otherwise. We're going to stop here and go into the stock round. Hey, I've got priority. Yippee-ki-yay. I can't buy any shares until I deal with this. So I got to do some calculations and figure out what goes. But let's load this one up.